everyone. Welcome to today's GuideStar Exchange demonstration. Jenny Taylor, and I'm the Community Manager here at GuideStar. A few housekeeping items before we begin. While the majority of this demonstration will include the questions that you all have been so kind to submit when you signed up for this event, we will leave time towards the end of the hour to answer any questions that may arise during this demo. You can submit these questions at any time, and to do so, just use the Q&A box at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If we get to all of your questions before our time is up, we'll post more of the answers on the GuideStar blog at trust.guidestar.org soon. We will send all of you an email with a link to the presentation and today's recording in a few days. I'm now happy to introduce Erin Andrews, Senior Director, Nonprofit Strategy at GuideStar. Erin supports GuideStar's initiatives to carry our mission through nonprofit data collection, research, and donor education, including the GuideStar Exchange Take Action in Philanthropedia. Erin, take it away.
Thanks so much, Jenny, and hi, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I'm really glad to have an opportunity to speak directly with you. And again, I want to reiterate what Jenny said, and thank you all for submitting questions ahead of time. I'm really hoping that this will be a very practical, useful, informative presentation to answer all of your questions and go into just a deep dive into what the GuideStar Exchange is, how it fits in with what GuideStar is doing. I want to share some statistics with you to put all the work that we're doing in perspective, tell you more about what the GuideStar Exchange can do for you. I'll provide a brief demo, talk about some of the discounted products that you have access to, a little deep dive into charting impact, and I'll even talk about some of the new developments that GuideStar is working on and what the next iteration of the GuideStar Exchange is going to look like in the coming years. So full agenda of things to go over with you. Before I get started, I also want to acknowledge that most of you on this call are here and specifically have been invited because you are on a relatively elite group of the top 10,000 most viewed organizations on GuideStar. We specifically wanted to reach out to this cohort because all eyes are on your organizations, and it's extremely important that you have accurate and up-to-date information on GuideStar. So when donors and funders and advisors come to GuideStar looking for info about your group, it's there ready at their fingertips. So thank you all for being here. And just to get us all on the same page, I'm going to start with just an overview of what the GuideStar Exchange is. Most of you are familiar, but let me give you the elevator pitch just to, again, level the playing field. So as you likely know, the nonprofits submit 990 forms to the IRS. The IRS then hands GuideStar these forms. We digitize them and make them available to the public on our website. The problem with the 990 data is that it's quickly out of date by the time you nonprofits submit it and we get it, and the amount of data that is available is relatively shallow. It can't tell us how effective an organization is or to what extent the organization is fulfilling its mission. So that's where the GuideStar Exchange comes into this equation. GuideStar in 2008 developed a program that allowed nonprofits to supplement what they were already submitting to the IRS via the 990. So it's all self-reported data by you, by nonprofits, and it aligns specifically with what donors are asking for, and it's much more comprehensive. It goes on just financials, and I'll go into that in more detail a little bit later. It's updatable anytime, totally free to you, and it really empowers your organization to share the information that you want to share with the public. So that's the big picture about what the GuideStar Exchange is. Let's take a look at a map of what GuideStar does to sort of show you where the GuideStar Exchange falls into this body of work. Now, GuideStar has evolved over the years. We've been around for 20 years now, from being a 990 only focused nonprofit to what you see on this slide, which is it's a relatively new slide for us, part of our new strategic plan. And I think it does a good job of showing the complexity of data that flows through the sector, and especially through GuideStar there in the middle. So we already built much of this, but with our new strategic plan, we're still working toward building this. You can see on the left side here that we have information coming in from a lot of different sources, most importantly coming directly from the nonprofits, you guys. They have the IRS or directly in through the GuideStar Exchange, sometimes by way of foundations. We have donors who give us information that becomes part of our database. We have experts who provide perspectives, reviews, ratings. We have volunteers that share data with us, and beneficiaries as well. And so all of this information comes into GuideStar, and part of that is through the GuideStar Exchange. And then this information flows out in a lot of different ways. Importantly, it goes through our website at guidestar.org, where, let's see, we had 7.2 million unique visitors last year. That's one of the main ways that we get this information out there to the public. And they also have a number of partners and other channels for distributing the information that we're pulling in from all of these different sources. So we work with 8 of the top 10 donor-advised funds. We work with 20 different donation processing sites that process over $150 million annually. We work with grant management groups, financial institutions, more than 60 different partners and groups that we send this data, and especially the GuideStar Exchange data, out through. So this should hopefully give you a big picture idea of the data flow. You submit data in through GuideStar, and it goes out through these channels so that the public, that be people at nonprofits, donors, experts, etc., can find information that they're looking for. So now let's take a look at more of GuideStar's numbers to put in context what it means to be a top 10,000 most viewed profile on GuideStar. So to begin, you'll see that we have 2.2 million organizations in our database. 1.5 million of these are 501c3s. Also note, and I mentioned this on the earlier slide, that we have about 7.2 million unique visitors to GuideStar.org. So you'll see that being top 10,000 out of 1.5 million or 2.2 million is quite impressive, especially with the millions of visitors who are coming to GuideStar. One question that, just to sort of, again, put this in perspective, to note that 98% of people who are accessing data on GuideStar are doing so at no cost to them. This is what our mission is. This is what GuideStar set out to do, provide as much data about nonprofits to the public for free as possible so that they could make informed decisions as they go about doing their own philanthropic duties. So the number I'll note on this slide has to do with the number of participants in the GuideStar Exchange, and I'm going to go into that in more detail in a future slide. Generally, you can see we have about 96,000 nonprofits that have provided data directly to us through the GuideStar Exchange, with about 37,000 at the gold, silver, or bronze levels. And again, I'm going to go into more detail about that soon enough. Okay, so let's take a minute to understand how data actually flows through GuideStar so you can understand what data we have, where it's coming from, and when we get it. A number of people had questions about this. So the way it works in our relationship with the IRS, nonprofits submit their 990 to the IRS, and about 2 months later, the IRS will receive that and turn it over to GuideStar. And then it takes about 2 months to digitize these forms and then add them to our database and to GuideStar.org. So the other important thing to note is there's no date on which all Forms 990 must be submitted to the IRS. So there's a constant flow. Some nonprofits, maybe their time is May, and others it could be November. It's just based on their own fiscal year. So the note is we digitize the 990s for organizations that are above 200,000 in revenue. There are actually quite a few rules about what we digitize and what we don't, but that's the general rule. And for organizations that do have digitized data, we pre-fill the GuideStar Exchange with that data when you come in for the first time. So if you've never claimed your GuideStar Exchange profile, then that information when you open it up for the first time that's pre-filled is coming directly from your 990 to save you time from having to fill that in. Now, if you already have a GuideStar Exchange profile and you've been in there quite a bit, all that data is going to be whatever you have submitted and overridden perhaps in the system. So there were a number of questions around that. Hopefully that was able to answer a little bit about where the data is coming from that we have in the GuideStar Exchange and how we get data from the IRS and what that timeline looks like. So there is a lag, and that's also why it's important for nonprofits to update their GuideStar Exchange because, again, they may have submitted their 990, but it's still going to take a while for us to get it and for us to get it out to the public. So let's take a closer look at the GuideStar Exchange specifically now. Let's talk about who participates, how many organizations have participated, and how the program has grown over the last year. So first, a quick look at the new program that launched just about a year ago. So we, with the help of Hope Consulting, have a research study called the Money for Good 2 research. And this showed us that institutional funders, individual donors, and financial advisors are interested in 3 kinds of information. They want basic information, contact information, mission statement, programs. They want financial information, and they want impact and effectiveness information before they're willing to make an informed decision about a donation or advise a client about a donation. So we, last year, revamped the GuideStar Exchange to align specifically with what those groups of people are looking for. What the result is the bronze level, which aligns with basic information, the silver level aligns with financial information, and the gold level aligns with impact and effectiveness information. Organizations that complete all of the bronze information, to reach silver, they must complete a bronze fields and silver fields. And in order to reach gold, they must complete bronze and silver as well as gold. And organizations must update their profile at least every 2 years in order to maintain their participation level. We feel that, a mission statement might not change every 2 years. Hopefully not. Hopefully that's something that's steady. But, your leadership might turn over. You'll certainly have new financials in that time frame. Your strategic plan might be have adjusted or be tweaked somewhat. So at least every 2 years, non-managers need to be coming into the GuideStar Exchange to update their reports in order to maintain their level of participation. There are certain benefits that nonprofits can receive by reaching each of these levels, and I'm going to go to that in more detail in a future slide. So let's look at some numbers. Last June, we launched this new program just about a year ago. We launched with 55 organizations in our system met the requirements of the gold level, about 6,000 silver, almost 300 bronze, and quite a few, almost 50,000 that didn't meet any of our criteria for those 3 levels of participation. You can, at 1 year later, we've grown the program tremendously, and now we have almost 100,000 nonprofits that have participated at one level or another. The other thing that I think is noteworthy is on a monthly basis, we have more than 140,000 data fields being updated by nonprofits. So this new program has really grown, and nonprofits are embracing it and sharing more data, which is fantastic to see. It just allows the public to make more informed decisions. To give you of the types of organizations that are participating, I wanted to show you this chart, which breaks down participation by revenue size. We specifically built the GuideStar Exchange to meet the needs of a small, meaning 0 revenue potentially, medium or large-sized organization. We believe even the smallest organization can reach at least the bronze level, even without extensive financial information. You can see that for the most part, we're about a third for revenue breakdown up to 200K, 200K to $1 million, and $1 million plus in revenue. I also wanted to share with you how nonprofits breakdown by NTEE codes, which you may be familiar with. NTEE codes are a way to categorize nonprofit operations according to causes or social areas. And so you can see this is just the top 10 that we have, but here's the breakdown across human services, community improvement, religion, arts, environment, education, youth development. You can see there's quite a range of types of organizations that participate, not only in size, but across cause types as well. Let's take a minute to review what we're actually collecting in the GuideStar Exchange. So we really built the GuideStar Exchange to establish a standard for the sector in data collection for nonprofits. We're specifically collecting the kind of data donors and funders are looking for, and there definitely is overlap with the 990, and that is actually, I think, beneficial to organizations, but it's much, much more comprehensive than the 990 collects. There are 6 main sections within the GuideStar Exchange. General information, including, addresses and the organization's founding, logos, social media, etc. There's a financial section. There are people in governance, so who works there, who's the leader, who are the leaders, board members, other staff. There's a program section, your organization aiming to do, which groups are serving through your programs, what are those programs, etc. Additional documents you can upload, IRS documents, certifications, accreditations, reports, strategic plans, etc. And impact. What has your organization accomplished so far, and what is it aiming to do? And then also is a section where you can review the required fields for each of the levels, and then a section to confirm and submit. This form was launched last June in its new format, and it's very similar to TurboTax, allowing you to skip between sections and go directly to the sections that you think you have information you need to update, especially if you've been in the form before. In addition, and by the way, I will do a brief demo where I'll go into the flow a little bit more. In addition to updating those data fields, there are a lot more things that the GuideStar Exchange allows you to manage and take advantage of. Most fundamentally, even if you don't have the time or the will to update the entire GuideStar Exchange, you can always ensure the public has the correct address for your organization. So the most basic requirement coming into the GuideStar Exchange at all is ensuring your address, that contact information, is up to date. It's also really important, and this was one of the questions that some of you had, that you keep your primary contact information and the managers who can edit your report up to date. Those are the groups of people who we send communications to. So we need to let you know your report is about to expire, or that there's a new benefit to take advantage of, or we have some new announcement. The primary contact and the managers on the report are the people we're communicating with. So be sure to keep that information up to date, and you can manage all of that through the GuideStar Exchange. So beyond having editing capabilities yourself, you can also assign other managers to edit your profile. So if there are 3 key stakeholders within your organization who need to come in, maybe your CFO wants to enter the financial information and your HR wants to enter, the people within the organization, you can assign other managers to be able to edit our nonprofit report. You can each take on that as well. You can also, if you work for more than one organization, through the GuideStar Exchange, manage that. You can, potentially, edit multiple organizations that you work for or volunteer for. There are a number of benefits that you have access to, and I'll go into detail about what those are, but you'll also be accessing those through the GuideStar Exchange. Again, I'm going to walk you through a demo so you can actually see where all of these things are. Additionally, through the GuideStar Exchange, you can turn on the functionality to add a donate button to your own GuideStar report. So if someone comes into GuideStar.org, they look up your organization, you can add a donate button to the top of that report to encourage nonprofits or individuals to donate to your nonprofit. Through Exchange, you can also get donation reports, so any donations that you have generated through GuideStar, you can manage the reports that come out and see who, how much, that sort of thing. Through the GuideStar Exchange, you can also preview how your information will be displayed on GuideStar's website. So we have a preview functionality to see how the public, if they were coming to look at your organization, how the information you've submitted through the Exchange is being displayed and in what format. And lastly, you can also print your report as a PDF. So if you need to get approval from other folks in your organization before you actually submit and publish your report, you can print off a PDF version, pass it around, get edits, get approval, and then come back in and submit your report. So there are a lot of things that you can do. Now let me share my desktop here so that you can actually see what the GuideStar Exchange looks like, how the format works, and walk you through a few things. So here I am. I've logged in. So if you are coming to GuideStar for the first time, you can go ahead and log in. To access your report, you'll click on Update Nonprofit Report, and this is the GuideStar Exchange. To manage your report, you click right here. And you can see I'm actually already logged in. So here I have all of the organizations that I manage. We'll look at GuideStar's report today. And you'll note here the actions that I can take. I can edit the form, assign other managers to the form. I can access my benefits. And I can also access the donation reporting that I've received through GuideStar. So if we click Edit Form, that will take you into the organization report. And here is the overview of those sections that I showed you. So you can either go to a particular section, a particular subsection. Let me take you into just the basic information first section and show you here is all of the information that we'd be collecting on basic information. Where you see asterisks, you'll see whether it's a required field. Question marks provide you with information, in some cases, about how the information will be displayed. One thing, I'll actually go back and note, we have a quick tip here that is relatively new. You can click here to see types of documents or materials you might want to have handy when you're actually updating your record. So you might collect those materials, work with your colleagues before coming into the Exchange, especially for the first time, so you'll have all the information you might need handy. So I'm going to go through each and every one of these sections, but I do want to point out something really important down here under this review section. Of course, you can go through each one of these groups, sections, subsections, enter that information. But you'll notice here at the bottom, we have a review section which summarizes all of the required fields for each of the levels. So you can, at a glance, see if you've completed what your progress is towards completion. So you can see here we've completed 100% of the minimum required fields. You can see this for bronze, what those requirements are and how close you are to completing them. And same with silver and gold. Just over here, this is where a lot of the functionality to preview how your information is viewed on the public report page. So when people come to our website and are not logged in versus those who are logged in and may have a paid subscription. So you can preview in both scenarios of how the information you've entered in the GuideStar Exchange will be viewed. You can also click here to view to download that PDF the information in your report, so you can print that off and work with others in your organization to complete the required fields. Have a partnership with Amazon Smile that you may not know about. Amazon launched just a few months ago a way for people purchasing products through Amazon can donate a percentage to the organizations that they choose. So if you're any 501c3, theoretically, can be part of this program. And Amazon has a set of data fields that they pull from us in order to manage this program and verify that organizations can be part of it. And so to ensure that Amazon Smile has the accurate information for your organization, you can view this section and make sure these are the data fields that Amazon Smile is pulling. So there's that summary section as well. And then under the Confirm and Submit portion, you'll see that there, this is where you can turn on the Donate button. So yes, I give permission to add the Donate button. And also allow nonprofits to give your organization through many of our partners like Network for Good or Just Give, who pull information from the GuideStar Exchange. This allows them to display your organization's information so donors can donate via those networks as well. For some of the main things I wanted to point out in the GuideStar Exchange, note you can easily jump between sections by just rolling over these tabs at the top and then, go to one of the sections below. If you wanted to go see, the programs and add a new program, you can easily do that. So, again, happy to take more questions at the end. Let me return to my presentation now, and we'll conclude the demo portion for right now. So once you've updated your profile, where does this data flow and who can see it? So almost immediately, usually within 1 or 2 business days, if not sooner, this flows to GuideStar.org and your organization's report page on GuideStar, and is available to any public or paying visitor. Here's an example of an organization in our database that hasn't submitted a lot of information through the GuideStar Exchange yet. And so I just wanted to show you, you'll see they're in the process of filling some of this information out, but they're also missing some big items. And so we just wanted to show you what this looks like so you can have a sense of how your GuideStar Exchange information flows to the report page and who sees it. See here that they haven't yet reached a participation level within the GuideStar Exchange, but being grayed out like this means they are in the system. So it might just be a few more data fields in order to reach that point. The information you see in this summary section is strategically placed here. We did some user research to figure out which data fields our visitors were most interested in, and these are the ones you see here. So this is the summary that gives them that at-a-glance view of really what they're looking for. Are they participating in the GuideStar Exchange? Are they registered with the IRS? Do we have financial data on them? Do they have Forms 990? Is their mission statement available? And is there impact information? And you'll see that this nonprofit has not supplied any information about this organization's impact. If they had, they would have a green check mark here. So another example of what it looks like, same organization on one of their tabs. So this is the People Governance tab. You'll see here that the information for leadership hasn't been provided. You can easily now, if you are this organization, you can click on this link and go ahead and update your report. But this is the type of messaging that we provide if we don't have information from your organization through the GuideStar Exchange. So hopefully I've made a decent case for why it's important to complete your profile fully and update it regularly. Now I want to spend a few minutes talking a bit more explicitly about the other types of benefits you gain by keeping your information up to date. So by keeping your report up to date, especially for funders on GuideStar.org and our 6 dozen client and partner websites, if someone's looking for your organization online, you're ensuring they're going to find the information that they're looking for. It really allows you to streamline processes for updating your organization's information. So as we work with more groups like Amazon on their Amazon Smile product, you only have to worry about updating your information in one place. Importantly, participating in the GuideStar Exchange is completely voluntary and free. It also shows the world that your organization is committed to transparency, something that's really critical to the nonprofit sector. The Exchange also gives you a head start on updating other key documents and reports like 990s and grant reports, because many of the data fields that we develop through the GuideStar Exchange are specifically aligned with those processes. So a little bit more about the Charting Impact Report and specifically how those are aligned with a lot of grant reporting processes. The more information you share, the more tangible benefits you'll be unlocking. So as you reach a particular participation level, you'll have access to a participation widget and logo for use in your print materials, email signature, social media. We have all of the exact rules on use in the GuideStar Exchange Terms of Use, which just Google or search for on GuideStar Exchange. And we provide also a full outreach toolkit for organizations to help you spread the word about this recognition. So there are lots of marketing materials that you can leverage once you've reached these levels to use the right language, put the logo and all of your materials and all of your print materials, et cetera. We've also relatively recently added a new benefit that allows you to receive an email alert anytime your organization is excluded from the IRS Publication 78, if it's excluded from the IRS Business Master File, if it's reported an Internal Revenue Bulletin as having its exempt status revoked, or when we receive a new 990 PDF upload from the IRS. So you can sign up to have a series of alerts sent to you should some event like that take place. You can find out right away when that's happened. Our marketing team loves when organizations reach the gold participation level, so they've committed to highlighting any organization through social media that reaches that level within a month of getting their status. So if your organization is at the gold level, hopefully you've already had your shout, but if not, if we've missed you for some reason, please reach out to us and we would be happy to highlight your organization. Those are some of the other benefits we offer through this program. Slightly on a more tangible side, perhaps, we also offer discounts to products and services. So organizations that reach the gold level can receive a free subscription to our GuideStar Premium product, which is a $1,500 value. This benefit never expires as long as you keep that gold level current, at least every 2 years. And over the last year or so, we've been worked really hard to develop partnerships with a number of other groups that provide, sell products or services to the nonprofit sector. These groups are offering exclusive discounts to our exchange participants only, almost always at the silver and gold level, and usually for just a limited time. So, for example, the Foundation Center offers 10% off the Foundation Directory Online, which is an online database for grants research. They also offer 20% off their grant seeker training courses, which are a series of webinars. Grassroot.org offers completely free four products: free web hosting, free profit website builder, nonprofit search engine optimization, and strategic planning consulting with MBA students. Volunteer is offering 1 free year of their premium recruiting tools, and we just announced a limited time offer through FMA, which is offering 40% discount on their certified nonprofit accounting professional online course this fall. In the next few months, we're launching 2 additional benefits, which will offer discounts on credit card processing fees for online donations and discounts on grant-seeking software. So stay tuned for those announcements in the coming months. So hopefully you now have a better sense of what GuideStar Exchange can do for you the more fully you participate. Now, here's a little bit because a number of you had specific questions about the charting impact questions, which is what it takes to reach the highest gold level. Here are 4 main questions that emerged from this audience, so I thought I would address them here. What is the motivation behind requiring the charting impact answers? How detailed do the charting impact answers need to be? Where to find sample responses or responses from similar organizations for the charting impact questions? And who will to view the charting impact responses? So let me give you just a little bit of history about charting impact and how it came about. A number of years ago, GuideStar, the BBB Wise Giving Alliance, and independent sector brought together nearly 200 nonprofit and philanthropic leaders to design charting impact. To create a common framework for the charitable community, brought together the best thinking of experts and practitioners across the country. Professionals were also part of these discussions and helped develop the standard for impact evaluation questions, very similar to what you'll find in any grant applications and reports. So really the idea here was donors, funders wanted to understand what organizations were achieving, what they set out to achieve, how much they had achieved so far, what kind of impact they were having. And there was no standard in the sector for how to evaluate and measure and report on that impact. And so that's what Charting Impact really set out to do, create that standard set of questions. I said it before, but I want to say it again, how important I think it is to understand that these questions were really developed with types of questions that foundations are asking in so many of their grant reports today. The purpose of developing this set of questions was not to add a burden to nonprofits when it came to reporting, but help streamline processes. These questions, these kinds of questions, are the same kinds of questions nonprofits are so often asked in the reports that they're submitting when they're in a grant. So that's a really important piece of this background. I'm going to read these the quote on this page and the next page because I think they provide some really helpful perspectives from the nonprofit's perspective about what charting impact is. So here Peter Burns, the CEO of the ARC, says, "Charting impact is the first serious effort within the nonprofit sector to provide the public with concrete information about how a charity knows it's making a difference. Ratios and financial measures, while important, pale in comparison to solid information about what's working. That the public wants to know." So, and Watt, President and CEO of the Association of Fundraising Professionals, said, "Donors don't support a cause because of its efficiency. They support a cause for the impact that it secures for society, for all of us. Charting Impact will help to focus nonprofits and their boards on how to communicate who they are, what they achieve, and how they achieve it, skills that all of us need to develop." Really powerful quotes to help understand why the context behind Charting Impact and why it's so important. Important reason to answer the Charting Impact questions is that it allows you to give investors, funders, and donors the information they're looking for, impact information. Allows you to highlight how your organization has been fulfilling its mission. Additionally, the process of answering the Charting Impact questions often forces organizations to sharpen their approach, think critically about their work, and sometimes make shifts to better, more strategically align their programs and resources with their mission. Lastly, you can learn from other organizations about how they're talking about their impact and answering these questions to improve their own practices. Another thing we've heard is how detailed the Charting Impact responses need to be. Here I list out what those 5 questions are, just as a reminder to folks or for folks who may have not seen yet. Those questions are: what is your organization aiming to accomplish? What are strategies for making this happen? What are organization's capabilities for doing this? How will the organization know if you're making progress? And what haven't you accomplished so far? We limit the responses to 1,000 characters for each, which is a lengthy answer, but not a very long answer. We want the responses to be substantial enough to provide real evidence, numbers, cite examples, be specific, not be so detailed that it wouldn't easily understood, read by any donor who might be looking for this information. So truly, it's up to you how detailed you want to, how much detail you want to include, but we've found that the 3,000 character limit is just about right in what we're looking for ideally. The question is around, where to find some sample resources. There are really actually a huge number of resources available to you as you're working through these questions. Last June, so Charting Impact started out as a standalone initiative that we had chartingimpact.org website, and it hadn't been integrated with the GuideStar Exchange. Last June, when we launched the new GuideStar Exchange, we brought those Charting Impact questions in for that gold level to be able to document an organization's impact. So now that the Charting Impact has been merged with the GuideStar Exchange report, Independent Sector, our partner in crime with this, has developed an extensive resource library for organizations trying to answer these questions. I've included the URL here that takes you to those materials. Here you can find, look for examples of other organizations with Charting Impact answers, and I'll show you what some of those screenshots look like. If you're looking for other organizations with a Charting Impact report, you actually can find this by using GuideStar's advanced search functionality. You can search for all gold level participants because organizations that have reached that level have completed a report. So first, I'm going to walk you through some screenshots now. So this is what Independent Sector's Resource Center looks like. So you can find out more about the initiative, the benefits to answering the questions, specific tips about how to answer each of the questions, and much more. Specifically under the resources section, you'll see there are tools, subsector-specific resources, how to use Charting Impact for applications, webinars, a whole host of resources that can help you answer these questions and hopefully find some help. You may be wondering how donors can actually access this information, so let me show you where this is found on GuideStar.org. When you've completed the answers to these questions, where do you see the report? So this is GuideStar's report page. You'll notice here under the impact summary, you'll see that the impact summary from the nonprofit and the Charting Impact report are available. If you click on that, you're taken to the impact summary tab, and here you can click on the Charting Impact report. The report itself, this is just a screenshot of the first page. It's like this for all organizations participating. It has, GuideStar information, mission statement logo, as well as when the organization last updated this report, and what the page 2 looks like, a snapshot of our responses to questions 1, 2, 3, and so on. So it's a nice, succinct document that is easy for donors to understand and addresses the kinds of questions that they're really looking for. So I'm almost done. I want to take a step back and give you a little perspective on where GuideStar is going, what to expect from us in the coming months, et cetera. So within the last year, we added this donate button to, you can see it here in the top right, to the GuideStar report pages. So far, over 10,000 nonprofits have added that functionality, and I encourage all of you to do so if you haven't already. We also just last week launched a new homepage, which many of you may be seeing now as well. And you can see a screenshot of that off to the right here. In a few weeks, we're going to be launching a series of new report pages. So when individuals come to GuideStar to look at that, look for information about your organization, they're going to see that information presented in a slightly new and hopefully a better way. In addition, we're adding a new tab that will be called External Perspectives, and that will aggregate information from other groups that work directly with nonprofits on either ratings, affiliations, memberships, reviews, that sort of thing. In coming months, you can also expect to see a new account page that will help you manage your account on GuideStar better and be more targeted to your needs and what you're hoping to do on GuideStar. We're also going to be working on a new search functionality to make it easy to find what you're looking for. And this will also include, options to search more closely with organizations that have answered those Charting Impact questions. On the GuideStar Exchange front, we're in the process of developing a new level. And actually, before I go into the chart, I'm going to go over new and coming soon things. So new, we just recently launched a series of 5 new questions that are yes or no questions around board leadership and governance. We partnered with BoardSource on this to establish a standard set of questions around board practices and leadership practices. So that's in the GuideStar Exchange, and you can go in and answer those questions today. Coming soon, we're going to be adding, we're doing research right now to figure out the best way to ask additional questions around diversity, equity, and inclusion, top funding needs, so that donors can have a better sense of how they can support your organizations financially, as well information about how many staff and volunteers work with your group. And we're also going to be reviewing and hopefully improving the general flow of the GuideStar Exchange, just to make sure it's really easy for you to get in, find what you need to do, and get you out. In the coming months and year, I would say, we're working right now on developing what would be a 4th level for the GuideStar Exchange. So to acquaint you with this chart, you'll see we have quantitative data and qualitative data that we collect, both at the programmatic level and at the organizational level. Right now, bronze level, which gets at a lot of that basic information, is primarily qualitative at the organization level. What's your address? What's your, mission statement, that sort of thing. The silver level gets at organization level data from a quantitative perspective, or financial numbers. The gold level, we're looking more specifically at the program level, qualitative data. What impact have you had through the work that you've done? And those are qualitative responses. So the 4th dimension that we're working on building right now will be this platinum level, which will actually get at quantitative programmatic data. Are you measuring, and how are you measuring it? We're right now, the idea is we're going to develop something like 20 or 30 different potential measures or metrics that nonprofits might be measuring in any given cause. So it would be 30 different ones for education organizations and 30 different ones for environment organizations, trying to be as comprehensive as possible, but still develop a standard for reporting those kinds of metrics, and then allow organizations, once they're in the GuideStar Exchange, to say, I'm an education organization, let's display those 30, let them pick, say, 3 that they might be measuring, and report out on those 3 year after year. So we can begin to collect some of that quantitative data. So just in the beginning phases, it's really important to note that we're going to give you plenty of time to take a look at this before we turn it into an actual requirement. We're going to test it. We're going to let you know well ahead of time that we're adding these questions, and even more time when we'll actually make them requirements for that level. So stay tuned. We'll be emailing you about that in the coming months. Okay, I'm going to stop there because I know that was a lot of information, and you all had amazing questions, and I hope I was able to address most or all of them. And I hope this presentation has given you more insight into how GuideStar works, how the GuideStar Exchange fits into all of this, why it's important to keep your report up to date, what benefits you get by doing so, more detailed information about charting impact, and even what's on the horizon for GuideStar. So at this time, Jenny, I'd be happy to take other questions that might have come in from our listeners.
Great much, Erin. We've had a couple great questions come in that I'd love to get your input on. The first one is worth, I think, reiterating. Somebody has asked if there's a fee to participate in the GuideStar Exchange.
Oh, there's no fee to participate in GuideStar Exchange. It's totally free and voluntary, and we never charge nonprofits at any point. Yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you. And somebody, they noted that in the past they would make changes either on nothing. They either had to submit their entire profile or wait until they could do so. Is it okay to submit it in a more piecemeal way this time around?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You can come and update one data field if you just have that one new person you want to add, or you have a new document. You can come anytime, update, and publish those results. So it's entirely up to you what the best system is, but you can kind of absolutely and just update a few things there, or you can do it all at once.
Somebody asked about our relationship with great nonprofits. What function does great nonprofits serve that GuideStar doesn't?
Great. So I didn't talk very much about great nonprofits, but we do have a partnership with great nonprofits. We at GuideStar are interested in providing as much comprehensive information about nonprofits to the public as possible. And we get a lot of that information from nonprofits directly, from you guys directly, either via the IRS or through the GuideStar Exchange. However, there are a lot of other potential data points about nonprofits that are interested in aggregating and being available to the public. And great nonprofits fill in those voids. We, through GuideStar directly, don't manage any input from people who receive, who are beneficiaries of nonprofit programs or volunteers of nonprofit programs. And what Great Nonprofits does is they provide a platform for people to provide reviews or thoughts about an experience they've had with a nonprofit. What we do is we just take their feed and display those reviews in the exchange, the GuideStar reports, so that anyone coming and looking up an organization can only see the information that is coming directly from the nonprofit, either via the 990 or the GuideStar Exchange, but also what other people have to say about that organization. So it's managed and run by great nonprofits. We don't provide any input in their practices or their governance or anything like that. We just take that data and display it for the public.
Excellent. This next one kind of is along those lines. How are we going to gather the external perspectives tab, the information on that tab, and can you explain the sources of that information?
Great, thank you. So when we were thinking more broadly about other data points about nonprofits, there really are quite a few that are out there. So there are, membership organizations, there are affiliation groups, there are other ratings, other evaluation points, things like that. So what we're doing is trying to identify as many of those types of groups as possible, reaching out to them and finding out if they'd be willing to share their data through GuideStar. If any of you have recommendations for groups that we ought to consider partnering with, maybe it's a group that you have a membership with or something like that, we would love to hear about that. We're trying to be as inclusive as possible. So again, if it's a group that provides membership or evaluation, assessment, accreditation, anything like that, we're trying to work with them, and we're going to aggregate, put all of this data on that one tab with something along the lines of a logo of that group, and it would say member, like BBB Wise Giving Alliance, approved since 2010 or something along those lines. So if you have suggestions for specific groups that we ought to consider working with, we'd love to hear them. Now, we're developing that list and reaching out directly to many of those groups.
Thank you. We've had a couple questions about the Donate Now button and what that process looks like for the nonprofits. Do you mind going through if GuideStar takes a fee of these donations, how organizations will get these donations to them via check or EFT, just a little bit more about that process?
That's a great question. I don't have a lot of information about that process specifically, and I think I'd rather tape now and provide an answer via a blog post when I can do a little bit more research. I don't directly work on that program. I know that, let's see, my colleague just messaged me with some information. So the charities pay nothing to receive contributions through GuideStar. To offset expenses incurred in processing donations, however, the American Endowment Foundation receives 3.99% of each transaction, and Kimbia receives 99 cents per donation. GuideStar receives nothing. And we've waived any fees it would receive from donations made through the GuideStar website. So I'm happy to also address that question more articulately in a blog post response as well, just to make sure you have all the right information.
And anyone on the phone who is interested in getting that information beforehand, we do have an FAQ on it under help, ask questions and online giving through GuideStar. That walks you through the process a little bit more. As for the GX, Erin, do you mind that tab is where people can turn on their Donate Now button again?
Sure. Yeah, I'll go right there and show you all again. So it is at the very end of the GuideStar Exchange, confirm and submit. So almost there. You right here, check this option. Check this box that says, yes, I give GuideStar permission to add a donate button to my GuideStar report page to enable donors to give to my organization through GuideStar.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sure.
While you're still in the form, we actually had somebody ask, the way their organization's name appears on line 90 is not styled in a way that most donors would readily recognize. Is there a way GuideStar might add an AKA field so we might start the name correctly?
Great. It's a very timely and wonderful question. So actually just recently added the functionality in the GuideStar Exchange for you to completely control how your name is displayed on GuideStar. So in the past, we have simply displayed what the IRS has on file for your organization, and that has created some problems because sometimes the IRS gets it wrong or it's not how you'd like the public to view your organization's name. Now you're able to come into the GuideStar Exchange and actually edit the organization's name. We do still have an AKA field, which you're welcome to still fill out, but just know that you can actually edit your organization's name now directly, and this is what will be displayed on GuideStar. In the coming weeks, we'll be reformatting the page so that we're certain to display how you'd like your name to be listed. We will next to it or underneath it or near it list how that organization name is listed in the IRS so that people who really need to know the official name will have access to it. But search and how we'll be leading with your organization's name, you have complete access, ability to control and change how you'd like that to be listed.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I think we have time for one more quick question. Somebody asked if there are new features being asked for by donors. What is the driver for all this new information being requested for board members and other stakeholders? Yeah,
so we're trying to build the GuideStar Exchange in a way that is helpful to the sector. We don't want to ask for information just to have the most complete record out there. What we're doing is we work with a lot of foundations, community foundations that have grant applications, and we're trying to do our best to align with the kind of information they're looking for, they're asking for, because our goal, a really goal of ours is to develop the GuideStar Exchange so that really it can become a set of common data fields that foundations can use in their own grant application processes. I didn't mention this earlier, but we have a relatively new initiative called Simplify, where we're working directly with foundations to use the GuideStar Exchange as the foundation for their grant application. So I'm in a world where you wanted to apply to 5, 10 different foundations for grants, and you could pre-fill all of that grant application with information directly from the GuideStar Exchange, one record that you've kept up to date. And they might ask 1 or 2 other questions specific to their foundation, but that would just save a huge amount of time. So we're trying to make changes to the Exchange that are small, that are helpful to you, and that are helpful to the funders who are looking for this kind of information.
Excellent. Thank you, Erin, for taking the time to walk us through this today. We really appreciate it. To all of you on the call, again, if we didn't get to your question, keep an eye out for our follow-up blog post on trust.guidestar.org soon. Thank you all for your support and interest in the GuideStar Exchange. We really could not do this without your interest and your support, all of your great work that you do in the sector. We hope we've been able to answer some of your questions today. I'd like to mention that there will be a post-event survey that will pop up once you leave this demo. If you don't mind taking a couple of moments to answer those questions, we would really appreciate it. And finally, watch out for an email coming soon with a copy of this presentation and the recording. Thanks again, and have a great day.